All right, let's do a quick mic check. Make sure everything is working properly. Okay, I think that's working right. Um, huh. Okay, that's not good. 1 second, I'm getting error messages here. Um, what is going on? Okay, this isn't good. Um, 1 second, I'm having some computer issues apparently. All right, let's see. Okay, that camera's working now. Um, and I pull up my reference image because that just crashed on me. And yeah. Okay. Well, I figured out what happened. Looks like Photoshop tried to, Adobe tried to update Photoshop and failed and broke Photoshop on my computer. That's not good. It's going to be a little bit of a problem. We'll see. Well, we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'll get my palette out and everything. Also, I don't know why my image is so high up. Um, might have to not yeah, I guess resize it or move it. I'm so tired of this painting though. Tired of paintings that I haven't finished. I have too many paintings that I haven't finished. Here's something nice to start the day though. I do have the stream. I mean, I do have a Dresden. Let's see if I can pick him up. Boy. Meow. Say hello. Say hello. Yeah. Oh, he's so sweet. He loves playing with his tail. Alrighty. I hate the automatic update stuff. Like, I know that, like, in theory, it's great because, things update in the background when you're not dealing with it. But so often, it just updates and breaks or something like that. Or updates at, like, the worst time or whatever. Alright, let me move the thing around a little bit. Hey, Des. How you doing? Just trying to get my image looking right. I think that's pretty close. That's close, but not quite. All right, there we go. That's about it. All right. Yeah. Uh Photoshop Adobe tried to update Photoshop and failed to update Photoshop. So I've been, trying to figure out what I'm going to do if I can't use Photoshop for my uh reference image today. But it updated and it's fine. But I was just saying how I hate the computer programs that auto update in the background. Like, I understand in theory it's good, but too often it just breaks stuff, or, you didn't like some, yeah, just usually just breaks stuff or updates at the most awkward time or whatever. Dresden, okay, okay, I'll give you more attention. You wanted to go down, now you want to go up again? I know what you really want is for me to run around and chase you around the house, but I can't do that right now. Meow. He's a little hyper right now, and he really wants to play. He wants to play. Ah, and bite, and bite, and bite. Ow. Ah! Such a vicious little monster. Such a vicious little monster. So cute. Ah! Look at this beast. Just Attacking me. Attacking me. Ah. Okay. Go. Jason, go. uh, I'm not actually going to run around after him, but, I'll take a couple of steps in his direction so he thinks I will. Alrighty. Alright, let me get my brushes. I wanted to stream earlier today. I was hoping to start early, but um, I I had to build two frames, and because I use power tools to do that, I can't do that late at night. So I had to deal with that today before I could stream. But we'll see. They look like they're coming out good. I'm almost done with them. So yeah, going well. Hey, Cassandra. How'd it go? It went okay. There were some issues because there were some issues, and we'll see. There might end up being some more issues in the sense that, like, I don't have the paintings here, so I can't test out how they, how how they go in, and I'm a little worried that maybe I didn't give it enough of an of a lip, which is a little bit of a concern. Um, but if I, it's one of those things where I either give it almost no lip, and that might be a problem, or I go the other way and then give it too much lip and I have to shave off a bunch or, cut a bunch to get down to it. So, um, with my paintings, what I do is um, I give it too much lip and I raise the painting to the edge. But you can't always do that. I thought about that, and like you can in theory do that, but it's in theory it doesn't work with every type of painting, and because they don't want the interior painted black, um, everything has to be cleaner, more precise, and so on. So I can't get away with some of those things like I like normally would. But so far, they're looking good. If I didn't give it enough lip, I will see if I can sand down the interior, you know, to drop it enough. Because it's not going to be a big difference. It's going to be like just a little bit of a difference. So hopefully I can sand it down with some aggressive sandpaper and, even it out if I need to. Hold on a second. So yeah, but otherwise they're coming out. They're coming out okay. The frames. So I'm gonna like there she needs them by Friday. No, by Saturday. I'm gonna try and we'll see if I can drop them off tomorrow. That way, if I need to make any adjustments, I have like an extra day to, do that. Here's hoping they fit. Well, I took measurements. It's not like I'm going off of nothing, but the thing is, it's like the difference between, 3/4 of an inch, you know, um, with like a little extra or a little less. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the difference of things. You know what I mean? So just because I took the measurement of 3/4 of an inch doesn't mean that it's, exactly 3/4 of an inch kind of thing. Which, yeah, that's the concern. But the other option was to do, you know, half an inch, right? Because that's like the only options here. And then I have to, you know, shave off 1/4 of an inch, which is a lot to, to shave off. So we'll see. We'll see. That is, one of the problems with, um, woodworking and if you, especially if you don't have like all the tools you might need and everything, it's, it makes everything harder. But oh well. That's why they have those specialty tools. Uh, but yeah. All right. Is everything dry? Yeah. All right. I'm really, really, really committed to getting this finished today. There's a few places that have to get some attention here, like the hand and the face. And um, I think there's some highlights here and there. And, the rest of it I think is looking pretty finished. So whatever. Phthalo blue is just ridiculous. Such a ridiculous color sometimes. It's like mostly dry and I barely touched it and just such a crazy color. But yeah, hopefully, the frames fit and everything. Like I said, it's a little different when you have the painting on hand and also, like I said, my paintings when I do the frames, I can because they're usually on panels, they're not on like stretched canvas. I can raise them, with like little platforms and raise them to the edge of the floating frame. And then they also feel more substantial. Anyways, how is everyone doing? How both of you in chat right now, I know are working on personal projects. I don't know if you're working on them today, so. Nah, you've got your smock covering the painting until Friday. Oh, okay. Oh, Des says I'm going to be painting in a minute. I've put it off in too long. All right. Well, good that you're getting back to it. So one habit I have when I paint that I think is kind of funny, and I wonder if like I always wonder how people perceive it, is when I'm painting, a lot of times I stand with like one arm like jabbed into my side, kind of like this, and then, one hand painting. Um, and the reason for that is purely because it helps me stand up straighter. It helps my posture, to like pull my shoulder back, keep, do all the things to help my posture. But I do wonder if sometimes people think I'm trying to do like I don't know, like it reminds me a little bit of like fencing to or something. I mean, not that they actually do that. They actually hold their arm, I think, out most of the time, but whatever it is. I think it's kind of funny sometimes. Which does make me wonder, like, if I ever do decide to use a what are those palettes called? Mm, the palettes that you hold. I can't remember what they're called right now. I do have one, only it's for the wrong hand and it's warped, so it's not exactly a good one. Um, yeah, not a winning combination there. Cassandra says no clue. Okay. I I thought there was a specific name for them, but I can't. My brain is not thinking of anything right now, so I don't know. I will say after using uh, the one that I do have for a little bit, I don't think it's for me. Like I don't think it's well, first of all, obviously it's not for me because it's for the wrong hand, but I don't think that those types of palettes really work very well for me. However, if I when I get the chance to work on a very large painting again, um, it might be, I don't want to say necessary because you can manage without it. There are ways of making a palette that you can use for very large paintings that don't involve holding them. However, it might be the most, you know, like the best option. I don't know. But if I ever do use one, I'm either going to make my own or buy the new wave one because I think those are probably the best ones. Not the square one, by the way. I think the square ones are probably the worst design. Nope. Too blue. The thing I don't like about most palettes that aren't glass palettes, and even glass palettes suffer from this, but at least um I don't know, less. Um I'm always worried that I'm gonna scratch the surface, when I use my palette knife and stuff. And that, holding a glass palette is not a good idea, obviously, for quite a few reasons. Yeah. Oh, I'm like, where is my wood palette? Here it is. I don't use it anymore. I can, but I basically don't use it. You're supposed to, what's it called? Prepare the surface, um, which I did, and then it got warped. I don't know if you can see how warped it is, but uh, it is not straight. Also, like I said, it's for the wrong hand. It wasn't clear when I bought it. I thought I was buying it for left-handed people, but it's for holding in the left hand, which, doesn't help me. And I thought about trying to, put it like do the surface resurface, or not surface resurface, but use the back. But it has their like logo in it, and the cuts are at the wrong angle. Although I could probably just recut it, just I don't know, but it's still super warped, and that's not great. It's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose, but it's not great. That says I have conversations with my mom and sister on this background. My dogs have been needy and bugging all day. So many interruptions. Oh, yeah, it's tough. Sometimes I mean, that's, similar thing with this painting where it's like not the same type of interruptions and stop, but not having the time to the consecutive time to, go through it, it does really get in the way and slow you down a lot. Cassandra says frisbee. Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely could be used for that. If Wizard liked to play fetch, you know, I probably wouldn't use that with him anyways, but just because of like the, you know, possibility of any dried paint or anything. But it's a thought. Alrighty. When we got when we adopted Wizard, before we adopted him, we bought all these toys for him. We thought, we're going to get a dog. He's going to want to, play with all these toys and, you know, all this different stuff we bought for him. He does not play with almost any of them. He does, however, like to play with the packaging some of them came in. In that sense, he's kind of like a cat. He also does not do fetch. Silly boy. Yeah, yeah, he is. He's not very good at being a dog, you know? Like there's a like when we take him to the dog park, he doesn't play with any of the other dogs. Kind of wags his tail at them and that's well, what little tail he has. He's a Australian Shepherd, so not much of a tail there. But he wags his little nub at them and that's all he does. Bo used to fetch when he was really young. He'd also just bring me stuff. Like one time he dragged an entire uh, mesh bag of socks to me. That's cute. That's adorable. Now, the only cat that brings us stuff is the outdoor cat who lives in our, backyard. And she brings us all kinds of bloody treats. You didn't ask for a bag of dirty. I didn't realize they were dirty. I thought, but yeah, that's fair. Yeah, she keeps leaving. I mean, she's just living outdoors. Like she just does that stuff, but I really don't want to have to clean it up, and we do have to. We've tried to get her adopted. We tried to uh, put her in a shelter, um, but the shelter was basically like, well, we can take her. We're like, okay, great. They're like, but you know, we have an excess of cats right now. We're like, okay, but it's a no-kill shelter, right? They're like, yeah. But if they don't get adopted after a certain amount of time, we ship them off to a kill shelter. I'm just like, oh, well, the name's a little misleading. Seems like false advertisement to me, but what do I know? So that's not a no-kill shelter. The heck? Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So we just, let her be. But yeah, I agree that seems like that doesn't seem like a no-kill shelter, but whatever. I had an idea for a series of paintings that I I want to see about developing. I probably need some specialty paint for it. Um, and then I can start and do, obviously I'll start with one, see how it goes, and then move on from there. But yeah, I had an idea for a series of paintings that I'm pretty excited about. We'll see uh, how it goes. Do you need opera rose? No, I do not need opera rose for it. Um, I actually either I need I don't want to, you know what? I don't want to give away too much. So no, not opera rose. Is that the special paint? No, no, that is not the special paint I need for this. Don't get me wrong. I still really want that color. Such such a vibrant, it's such a like strong color. Like it's so pretty. I I could totally do a whole painting or series of paintings like with just like variations of opera rose, like the like super high key paintings with like some very high vibrancy in it and everything. I totally could do that. That would be so fun. But I'll never do that because I don't trust it to not fade, um such a shame. Your eyeballs literally turned into hearts when you saw it. Because here's the thing, because the painting, I don't have it here, the painting that I was working on needed that like really strong color that I could not mix it because it's a vibrancy, you know, just out of the range of any of my mixtures possible. Well, unless I use my neon paints. Those aside. But yeah, here's the thing. I I also thought when I first saw the color, because it's a Michael Harding color, and a lot of professionals use not just professionals, a lot of like big name people use them. It's considered a premium brand, and and all of that. I thought maybe there's a chance that it is light fast. Also, Opera Rose is essentially uh, PR 122, which is just magenta. The pigment in it is straight up magenta, quinacridone magenta, which is very light fast. So for a moment, I was like, wait, is this actually a light fast color? However, um, they use a special dye um, to give it that, extra punch of vibrancy. And that dye is not light fast. Des says, I had that issue when I was painting the purple cabbage. The pink inside wasn't mixable with what I had. Yeah, and that is often, I mean, that is often the case. And usually the answer I would, not just for you, Des, I'm just saying like usually the answer or the solution in my mind is, you just have to kind of adjust, you just have to adjust the colors, and sometimes you have to adjust all of the colors to like, you know, around what your palette is capable of, right? But the that's usually my answer to stuff like that. It's not so much you know, you have to be able to mix the color. It's you just have to, you know, adjust everything. But the painting I was doing had a lot of like neon colored, not neon, but like fairy lights and everything. And for that, I really wanted to, you know, I wanted to hit those vibrancies. And don't get me wrong, like if you want to use, you know, those vibrant colors and everything, like go for it. I'm not, you know, that's not really the issue. Um, there's a place for all of those paints, you know. Um, they just generally don't need to live on your palette, I think, unless that's all you paint, which, you know, go for it. If that's all you paint, go for it. But yeah, I was so, for a moment, I was like, wait, is this color actually light fast? It was not. But yeah, there are definitely colors that you cannot mix. The only way to get them is with, you know, out of the tube. And even then, a lot of times they are not light fast and they will fade. And so it's not even worth using them. But no, that is not the color, the special color I was thinking of for this series of paintings. We'll see. I don't want to give too much away, you know. We'll see. I have this one painting I've been experimenting with, or that I started experimenting with. I haven't had time to get back to it, but I really want to, because I started experimenting with the interference paints a little, and I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate them uh, in a way that isn't, you know, super uh, cheesy or cheap or, you know, um, yeah, I don't know. It's they are difficult to incorporate into a painting. That says, "Oh my God, do I keep plastering paint on this thing or do I just start over?" I don't know. I mean, if you want to share it, you can. I'll take a look at it. But you know, ultimately it's up to you, obviously, and you know that. But I think if you have another painting to work on, why don't you just leave this one alone for a little while, go work on something else, and then come back to it later with fresh eyes, you know? Hells no, I'm not sharing this monstrosity. Okay. Here's you know, I do think abandoning it and coming back might help you with clarity if you're not sure. The other thing I would say is, you know, if you know what you need to do on the painting to, you know, bring it to the where you want it to be, um, then you have a path forward. If you don't even know how to, you know, basically how to fix it, if you're like, I don't even know what needs to be done to this to like get it to where it needs to be, then I feel like you either need someone to help you, or maybe it's a painting to start over. And this is just a general, like, kind of my general way of approaching that type of thing. Because if you know what to do, then you can. You know what to do, so you can fix it. But if you genuinely don't know what needs to be done to fix it, you just know what is wrong with it, but you don't know how to fix it, um, then you're just wasting time stumbling around hoping you know, come upon the solution, right? Um, so that's kind of how I feel about that. But sometimes a little time away can help you see what needs to be done. Sometimes, there are uh, some reference tricks you can do to help you see it. And sometimes, showing it to someone or talking to someone who you trust can help, you know. But sometimes it's just not worth it, for sure. I'll work on it a bit. If I don't see what I want in an hour, I might just restart. Okay. One thing I can say, sometimes if you take a picture of it and you take your photo reference and you put them side by side, like small, like in an email, or something, or in a like in a text message or something, like so that they're kind of side by side. I can't tell you how many times I've, you know, submitted work or something that way, and it's like, oh, or for a question when I was in Chelsea's boot camp, or other people have done this too. And it's so often you do that, and as soon as you upload it like that, you're like, oh, well, now I see what I need to do. Like, it's so obvious. I wish I'd seen it earlier. It happens so often. So sometimes that can really help. Sandra says it's infuriating. Do you know about programs and rubber ducks? Programmers and rubber ducks? I do not. Unless you're talking about that comedian who trolls um, his what's it called? Roommates with rubber ducks. But that I don't think is what you're talking about. They have a rubber duck on their desk, and if they are struggling with a problem, they explain it to the duck. More often than not, telling someone else, the duck shows them what's wrong. Okay. I mean, You could just talk to yourself. That's what I do. Like, why you gotta be weird about it? I mean, just talk to one of the other voices in your head. Why they gotta be weird about it and bring ducks into it? Who doesn't love a duck, though? I mean, sure, I guess. But no, that makes total sense to me. But I never heard about that. The other voices in your head talk back, though, the duck doesn't. Yeah, I mean, that's the useful part. They can tell you where you're making mistakes. The calling you an idiot part is not as fun, but the rest of it is useful. The duck squeaks if you squeeze it. True. All right, let's see if I can fix this hand a little bit. So one of the issues with the hand is I overcomplicated the hand. And I did that because I was trying to add detail to it, which was probably technically correct detail to add, but it just made the hand overly complicated, overly detailed and noisy and difficult to kind of understand what was happening. So my goal is going to be to simplify the hand. And then if I can, I will try to put in some more detail again, but like very, very um, sparingly. I'm trying to kind of distinguish between the fingers and the thumb right now, because everything's overlapping, and that overlapping is making everything harder to read. Alrighty, now simplify the shadow as well. Shape of that finger, the outside shape of it needs some work, but I will address that in a minute. Alrighty. Mm, Still, I think the fingers are a little chunky, so I still need to still need to work on them a bit. But I need to give my camera a minute to rest, and I need to stretch out my back for a second too. Oh, it's important to stretch. All right, and now for another thing that's very important, coffee. So I am going to take my break, and if you're on Twitch, I am going to run ads. That way, people who come in, what's it called? Don't get the pre-roll. So yeah, I will be right back. Alrighty, and I am back, sort of. Alrighty. Oh, I can show you this painting that I am working on. Like I said, it's kind of a experiment right now, and it's a work in progress. Um, but this is, like I said, it's a work in progress. I'm trying to experiment with the what's it called? Interference colors. And what I'm learning is they are very what's the word I'm looking for? Delicate or gentle colors. They disappear very quickly if you mix them with other things. However, I don't know if you can see it, there's like a little blue shimmer right there. That's like leftovers. Yeah, it's hard to see on camera, but you can see, let me see if I can get the right angle on camera. Trying to, uh, okay. There's a little bit of a like a red shimmer right here, and there's a blue shimmer right there, but it's very faint, and on camera it's even worse. You can kind of see it. It's very faint on camera. In person I can see it, but it's not like very strong. So that's what I'm saying. Like they disappear instantly almost when you mix them with other colors. So the trick is going to be either to I'm fairly confident that the trick is either to um, paint with them and then glaze over them, or to use them on top as a final coat, which is it's so that one's so tough because it can look like you're just painting with glitter paint, right? So that's not a look I'm going for. Yeah, it is very, very faint. But that's what the experiment is for, right? There's also a few other interesting things about them where like they show up way stronger on dark backgrounds than they do on light backgrounds, and on light backgrounds they do more color shifting, whereas on black backgrounds they look more glittery. So it's just it's just something to like be aware of as use them and try and figure out how to use them. And that's also one of the interesting problems with the color shift paints, which is um, even when you do see them, it's hard to capture on camera, which is both the kind of the appeal and also a negative. The reason it's an appealing feature is because it makes it unique to see it in person and to own it, you know? That's kind of one of the features about it that I like. Part of me doesn't like that fact, I have to admit, because I've always liked the idea of like sharing my art with as many people as possible. But with, all the AI nonsense, having something that's more tangible and real does have more of an appeal to me now than it used to. I also want to play with gold leaf. I know there's gold paint, but I know that gold leaf obviously not the same as gold paint. Um, I've never used gold leaf. I think the fun part about gold leaf, aside from the shiny aspect of it, which obviously is, a big factor, um, I think the fun thing is how the, how flat it is and the juxtaposition to like a very rendered, like fully rendered painting that has depth and everything. And then you have, this gold leaf, which is just completely flat. But I will say the the process of using gold leaf looks like a huge pain. And I'm not a fan of things like that that are a huge pain to do. Have any of you ever used gold leaf? I'm curious if you have, what your experiences were like. Neither of you have? Okay, fair enough. Hi, Nisu. My little girl. Would you like me to give you attention and pet you? It looks like you would. The question is, do you want me to do that while holding you? Guessing no. But unfortunately for you, little girl, it's the only option right now. Yeah. Hey, little girl, I'm sorry, but this is the only option of love you get right now. Yeah. Does she look angry? You want me to put you down, little girl? Such an awkward cat. Okay. She lives up to the like cat memes of like, I want attention, don't touch me. You know, that type of thing. Hey, Sue, what are you doing? Can't get that glove on. Oh, jeez. All right. I got one glove on. Gonna have to do for now. This stage of the painting, I don't know about you, but for me, it's one of those stages where it's like, in some ways, it is very easy to get lost in it because it's all like detail now. It's all like the final rendering stuff, the final touches, final details. And it's definitely an easy stage to kind of lose focus and just kind of go on autopilot too in some areas and just render and not pay attention to what I'm doing, which obviously is not a good thing to do. It's you want to be intentional with everything. Hey Sue, are you hyper? What? Is cats are so silly. Um, but also, so in one sense, you have that, but in the other sense, it's also I find it kind of sometimes the least fun part of a painting because like everything's done, right? Like the painting is practically done at this point. Really, it's just, and I mean, I recognize that it's like, oh, I am finishing it. I am the one doing it, but all the hard choices, all the creative stuff is all done. Now it's just rendering and modeling and, like just that part of it. And in a lot of ways, that's actually kind of the boring part. In the in the beginning, when I first, I think, started drawing and painting and everything, I don't think I felt that way. But I think over time it has changed into that. Yeah, my cat Misu is yes, it's zoomies, so she's losing her mind right now, running around like crazy. Because Des says this is the worst, and I'm assuming that she's referring to her own painting at the moment. I'm sorry you're struggling with your painting, Des. I know sometimes when you have a painting that like just is not going right and things are not going well and so on. I know it can also shake people's self-confidence sometimes, but everyone has a bad painting or a bad day, or sometimes it's not connected to the day. Sometimes you start a painting and then it's like that painting is cursed, um, because I mean, there's numerous reasons why that happens. Some of it can be mindset, some of it can be just, how you set the painting up to begin with, and then, sometimes it's like, you know, you can't, like, it's easier to just start over than to recover type of thing. Sometimes it just depends, but it can definitely feel like a painting is cursed or something. And I know that that can shake some people's sometimes. Some people can have their confidence kind of shook from that, and then then it spirals, right? Because once your confidence is broken, then you you either self-sabotage or you take every little thing as what's it called, confirmation. But it's not, it's just one bad painting or bad drawing. Everyone has them. It's not a big deal. Not that I'm saying this specifically to Des right now. Uh, it's just the subject that her plight reminded me of it. That's all. Cassandra says, my brain has never lied to me ever. Okay, you say so. Just, I know you're joking. I absolutely know that you're joking, but just to drive home how much our brains are lying to us all the time, just a little little fun thing. So, first of all, most of the time, you are not aware that you see your nose, right? Because you see your nose all the time. But most of the time, you completely ignore the fact that you see your nose. It's as if you're not able to see your nose until you're paying attention to it. That's, one way. But okay. Um, like I said, I know you're joking, but uh, when you have a dead spot in each eye in your field of view that you can't see because the way that your cornea is built where everything like comes together, there's one point that's a dead spot. It's somewhere around here and here, one in each eye, right? And there are tricks you can do to find it, but you can't see it. Um, and um, when you flick your eyes around throughout the day as you're just living, just as you do to look at things, right? Um, for a fraction of that time, you are actually blind, even though you can't tell that you're blind because your brain basically just waits until your eye kind of gets to where it's going and then resumes vision. um, Not for the whole thing, but for like a fraction of it. And that's why some people tend to get like motion sickness when watching like movies and stuff that have, a lot of motion in it, because when we have a lot of motion, our brain kind of cuts the signal momentarily, so that, we don't, I don't know if it's so that we don't get motion sickness or if it's so that it can focus on other things. I don't know why, but yeah. So yeah, your brain obviously lies to you all the time. You know that, I know. But yeah, all the time. But yeah, I know you're just kidding, but our brains suck. They lie to us all the time. They're, they're so like, that's one of the things when learning to paint that artists really need like to work on is being able to ignore what your brain is telling you and to kind of focus on what you're seeing, not what your brain's telling you you're seeing. Um, so many, that's one of the things that like beginner artists, fall into all the time, right? It's that trap of like, oh, I know what an eye is. And it's like, okay, you think you know what an eye looks like, but you're kind of painting like a representation. You're not painting or drawing an eye. You're painting like a symbol of an eye. It's like they don't look and pay attention and look at the folds and they just kind of, it's just one of those things. Your brain just lies to you all the time about stuff like that. I mean, even color, right? Like our brains um, lie to us about color. Like it tries to interpret, like, okay, well, this is the color you see, but that's because it's in shadow. So really, what you're seeing is this color. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but I need to actually mix the color that I'm seeing, not the color that you know, that it is when it's not in shadow. Um, I've had people refuse to play Pictionary with me because I can draw. It's not a game about drawing, it's a game about communications and symbols. Absolutely. I actually played Pictionary. This was fun. It was at the I still need to work on the video, I know. The Portrait Society conference, we played Pictionary at night on one of the nights. And it was a lot of fun, but here's a perfect example. Okay, so I played um and I got a the what's it called, the word I got was um hedgehog, right? So i I was like, okay, hedgehog, I got this. So guess what I tried to draw. I mean, obviously I was doing it quickly because it's Pictionary, but just take a guess what I tried to draw for hedgehog. Sonic? Yes, Sonic. That's exactly what I did. I was just like, okay, I know what to do. Hedgehog, Sonic. This is the most obvious thing ever. Um, I did not win the round. The other guy just did like a porcupine hedgehog looking thing, very, very quick, very crude, and they won. Uh, Des says, I wouldn't have guessed it. You wouldn't have guessed hedgehog from Sonic, like Sonic the Hedgehog? Like if I drew. Really? Huh. Interesting. They didn't get it either for the, to be fair. Um, what Sonic, LOL. I'm an old lady. You know, I mean, Sonic's not exactly new here. Um, I think, but that was the problem. I think a lot of the crowd was older, and also I don't think they're the type of people who play a lot of video games, honestly. Like, I don't think that was the crowd for it. But yeah, I immediately went to Sonic. I was like, how, like, like it's world famous. Like Sonic the Hedgehog. Who doesn't know what Sonic the Hedgehog is? Like, come on. But yeah, apparently. But yeah, it's absolutely not about skill at drawing. Some of the people won with like the worst, absolutely the worst drawings. But it is fun still. I did enjoy it. Yeah, someone one I think one of the things was like one of the um uh, one of the words was jury, I think. And so I tried to draw like the jury, but the other person just did the jury is like 12 people, or whatever. The other person just did the judge and people guessed around it, you know. So yeah, it's very much not a, you know, definitely just like quick and symbols and so on. It can be a lot of fun. All right, let's see if I can get the nose done today. That would be nice. Sorry, I am focused on this right now. I almost, well, I wipe my brush, but almost never clean my brush. But I'm gonna try and clean it off a little bit so I can get cleaner colors. This came out lighter than I wanted, and I didn't want to have that like little highlight right there. Awesome. All right. I think I've told this story before, but back in the day when I used to do comic book inking, I'd ink my own comic book work. Um, I was working on a project and um, I was doing like a really intensive, inking like session. I don't know. I was just doing a lot of inking that day. And I was starting to feel uh, unwell, like, lightheaded and nauseous and everything. And I was like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. I'm feeling really, really crappy. Um, so eventually I was like, oh, I gotta, take a break from inking. I was wondering, like, is it fumes from from the ink or something? What's going on? So I figured it out though, eventually. Um, a trick when inking to to help, you know, keep your arms steady and everything, um, is to hold your breath while you're inking. And I was holding my breath so much that I was making myself lightheaded and nauseous because I was literally, you know, I guess oxygen deprived at that point. Uh-oh, yeah. So, gotta be careful. Asphyxiating yourself? Yeah, basically. I didn't think I could, do that. I mean, it makes sense, but you would think that, you'd notice it, right? Like you'd think, oh, okay, if I'm doing it too much, I mean, I guess technically I did notice it. I started feeling ill, but, took me a minute to realize why. I just figured that you'd feel like out of breath and everything, but nope. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to let this sit for a bit. I'll send you a pic and I'm going to do a digital version, see how that turns out. Just do a different painting entirely. Just stop, even thinking about this one. Move on to something else if you can. Such a bad reference too. Yeah, I mean, bad reference will, I've said it here many times because I've done paintings from horrible references here, and it really sets you up for a rough time. It is no joke. Bad reference really is it's just a recipe for a really hard time. Bad reference is no fun. Yeah, it really isn't. And then there's also like, it depends also what you're trying to do with the reference. Like if you're more comfortable, and I know this isn't the case with you, Des, right now, but if you're more comfortable just completely messing up the reference, like it doesn't, then you can like fake a ton more and like get around all the like bad parts of the reference. It makes life a lot easier. But if you really, really need it to look like the person, it's a lot harder. You have three photos of the guy. Two are blurry and one is clear. The clear one has his eyes closed, but the request was for his eyes to be open. The lighting is bad, etc. They done in portrait mode and wasn't focused, so the face is blurred. Nice. Cassandra says it should be refocusable on their end if it's in portrait mode. Um, I don't know, maybe. Des asks if it can be changed after the fact, and yeah, Cassandra is right. It depends on the phone. Some phones, yes, because of just depends on how they save the file. I don't think it's a phone. I think it was a proper camera. If it was a proper camera, then it wasn't, then it's just out of, then it's just blurry. It's not like portrait mode, but yeah, then it's just blurry. And that sucks. Let's see. He said he did it in portrait mode. I'll reach out and see if it can be adjusted. I'm really struggling with the eyes. Um, Wait, Cassandra says, I mean, some cameras have a portrait setting and a landscape setting. Yeah, but those settings don't, those are, they're not, digital filters the way portrait mode on a cell phone is. Hold on a second. Hi, Dresden. Now, I can hear you, Dresden. Dresden is outside my room losing his mind. Not that he really ever had it, but yeah, he wants to play so bad. Dresden. It's so cute. He's making these cute little snorts because he's like purring and everything. Aw, Dresden. Oh, okay. All right, I just realized the time. I think I will actually end the stream here with Dresden. He can say goodbye to everybody. And I will go chase him around the house a little bit. And I'll be back on Sunday. I didn't quite finish this, but I mean, I got a lot done today. Isn't 100%, but I think the nose is done. The lips still need a little work. The hand's good, I think. Oh, you can't see it right now. Hold on. I mean, honestly, Dresden's more entertaining to watch. But yeah. Oh. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and hanging out. I will be back on Sunday. Trying to get a video out. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay. Say goodbye, Dresden. All right. Bye, everybody.